Okay, there we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. Okay, let's get ourselves in here. How common is it to have poison pools with the bushes here, but the trees are dead? All right. We go this way. Right. Yeah, we had the blue flowers in the poison pool too, I think, so. This one's a bit weird because you essentially have bushes and stuff growing around in the middle of the highway, implying that they haven't really touched like any of this here in a while. Also, there's all the stuff growing on the stuff and that also contributes. That's a bit weird, especially when you want me to believe that you have all this convoys coming through here. Like some of the other stuff, it's like, okay, sure. Some of this, though, like, what you doing? All right, Uh-huh. Nothing too crazy here besides this. There's nothing really out there. So going by that. My tree is burning. Okay, so okay, there is the occasional still. Uh-huh. Ah, there you are. The hell you doing? All right. Damn. There we go. Interesting how this one's actually naked. You don't get that very often. But I didn't check. So maybe it's more common than I think. Whew. Okay, no, there's variations. Okay. Whew. I'm thinking of like getting a character and marking all our tarnished friends in Limgrave spots, you know? There we go. Uh-huh. I wonder if that's the idea behind the Miranda flowers you got gathering around. Because you got a fair number, I guess, pollinating over here. We got the one over there. So I wonder if they're like attracted to like, you know, the dead or something over there. Because we don't really see any. That's the thing. Now granted, it could be that there were more there and they got killed by the demi-humans. That's always possible. Yeah, not that many. Yeah, that's the surprising bit. Not what you'd be expecting. Oh god, I gotta get out of here. I get all these shipwrecks. As far as I could tell, they haven't caught anybody. It really does seem to be mostly that northern coast. Oh no, there are a few. Uh-huh. There we go. Yeah, okay, so there's a few over here by the lookout tower. Uh-huh. There we go. Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. That makes sense. I could expand on Godric with stuff like that in the future. There we go. I don't think I like how far I let that knight go. Need to let the knight be a little further back. Yeah, okay. Interesting, now that I'm thinking about it. Oh, oh no! Ooh, a little tiring. All right, now I'm curious because I know there's a small group we can. We have the one by the first step. We have a few over here. Right. I forget if there's any on this side. Also, is that those blue? Oh, wasn't close enough to that. Whoops. Forgot about that. Forgot about that. All right. Let's see. One second. I want to double check something. Yeah, put up another poll. Ooh, Astrologers is doing good so far. I mean, it's very early, but yeah, before I go, I said, you know what, I'm going to do an Elden Ring poll too, because Bloodborne is definitely going to be the focus, but I want to have, like, you know, my Elden Ring stuff plotted out for the future as well, especially considering I did a bunch of little topics and things. Well, I guess you want to call the God Hunts thing little, but point is, yeah, there's a lot of blue flowers here. I forgot. A lot of combos. Anyway, and yeah, more here. Anyway, so I'm thinking about, you know, while I'm out of the way, you guys can, like, you know, be doing votes and stuff, so I at least feel like something productive is happening while I'm away. I'm somewhat surprised and yet not at all surprised that Shattery and Morgoth doesn't seem to be doing too hot right now. Astrologers is the pleasant surprise. I also feel like Fire Giants is something I'm going to want to cover soon. Not because I can claim to know too much about all that jazz. I don't think I could answer a lot of questions about the Fell God, for instance. But I do feel like I'm at least in a position that I can at least, like, get some of the basic history down. Yeah, so you have some of them over there. Ooh. God, there's so much more. There's so much more to talk about when it comes to Godric and stuff. It's like, goodness me, this Godric topic. It is huge. I do wonder if I need to separate God of War into an entirely separate topic. I am wondering that now. Because, like, God of War is, like, sizable. I'm like, okay, I can't really talk about other characters without first talking about God of War. But now I'm wondering if I need to separate God of War to, like, he won't be like a thesis size or anything. But if I should, like, use him to cover, like, all the basics in the setup that I would normally use to cover, like, the faction that both he and Godric would represent, and just have them separated so that way I can focus on not making Godric too long as I keep expanding with, like, new details and things. There. Yeah, I'm going to Shishinki. I want to mark this. Okay, good. I've only used one marker for something I don't know or care to know. Yeah, because I want to have this all marked down. All right, so if I do something here, what's the item? Rainbow stones. That's... Is there anything special about rainbow stones in this area specifically? No, it just kind of fits in general. What would be a good representation? No, it's kind of like a banner. It's kind of like a banner. There we go. I think that's all the areas. Mm-hmm. Go to first step here. Yeah, there's a lot over here. I forget it. Oh! Lol. Was not paying attention. Dumb. Do I even have any left? I forgot. Yeah, not that much. I've been using them. All right, Church of Ella has a bunch here. Right. Ooh. Yeah, I don't think there's more. We go this way. Howdy, Xavier. Good to see you. Oh, yeah. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, so we got quite a few over here. I'm going to consider these technically separate because they're so far away. Okay. All right, so that's solid. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. We're gonna have to go this way. All right. There we go. You know, maybe I should have included those who live in Death/Godwin on the analysis. You know, just Deathroot maybe. Called the Death Prince or something. The Prince of Death, those who live in death, you know. Not you. Lance Talisman. Is there anything particularly special about this? Uh-huh. What analysis? Oh, I'm just looking at stuff for Godric. As I was saying earlier, I'm thinking, I wonder if, with how big Godric's got it, I'm wondering if I have to consider now separating Godric and Godefroy into separate analyses. And like Godefroy have all the like general faction stuff that he and Godric share, as well as his personal story. And then have Godric have, of course, obviously his personal story, but everything else with the history. Because obviously there's so much history between the two of them that I'm starting to wonder if that would be the wiser course of action at this point. Yeah. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Is this an actual enemy? It feels weird because I don't remember fighting a guy over here, but that looks like a complete enemy model. Yeah, okay, so nothing else over here. I thought there might be like one or two more, but no. No, no, no. I could have sworn there was some more over here too, or is it just the lookouts? I think there may be over here. Yeah, here, no. Yeah, I see him. Okay, over here. It's just the one. Uh-huh. Yeah, it's an enemy. Good to know. And this area is pretty clear. Honestly, there's less of these crucified guys than you would think. Yeah, we got that marked on the map. There you are. Now, as I recall, this eastern region is otherwise absolutely bereft. There's more up there. Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think we have any more, right? So in that case, let's look over here. Where are we? Ah, there they are. I'm like, there has to be more, right? All right. All right, so I think that covers them all. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in chat, but I think that covers all of them in terms of just like where they are. So we got some in water, some over here in this corner overlooking stuff. One in Mistwood, one over here, number over here, a good number over here, a good number over here, tons over here. I should look at that far left corner just to be sure, but like that seems to about cover it for Limgrave. And then you got one over here, couple over here, really big number here, a few over here, one over here. Like, not that crazy. All right. None over there. Yeah, nothing. It might be in the graveyard. I should. Nope. Oh, yep. There is one in the graveyard. One. What about over here? All right, it's time. All right. How we doing? I'm doing okay. I'm going to be gone for a bit, so. So you guys get to enjoy all that. All right, so I think that covers anything we want there. Forsaken Ruins we have there. I think I've pretty much covered all the stuff Caelid-wise that I couldn't cover, like, barring astrologers. I think I'm pretty much done there. Like, I don't know if there's anything else I can really mine out of this area. I guess fire giants too. And a little farm Azula over here on Grey Roll stuff. I'm gonna go down the road because there may be like one or two of these that I don't remember being there either. Yeah, okay. Uh-huh. Yeah, that would be astrologers. Stillwater's like Melania stuff. Astrologers was Lascar. Astrologers with Rhea Lucaria. Like, yeah, it's a little nuts for me to say this. Like, it's definitely a little bit crazy to say. But I think I might have, like, most of the areas covered. In terms of purely, like there isn't that much left, at least for the above ground stuff, that I haven't already covered somewhere. And most of the other stuff is like, okay, we got like Melanias, like some Mikolas, right? Like, but these are things where it's like, okay, well, I've identified it, I thought about it, I have a good idea about it, right? It's something where I can store for the future. Like, some of this stuff is fire giants, astrologers, as I said, Azula, more stuff with Farm Azula. We have a lot of stuff over here with the mountaintops now covered, now that Fire Monks is out. So I don't have to be worried about, like, sitting on stuff like with the Zamor here or anything like that. Like, I guess some of the Zamor stuff would also be in Fire Giants. Like, I'd include them. Unless I find some good reason to separate them or put them as part of another analysis. That's probably where I'm going to leave them. Sorry, chat. I'm a little tired. I'm gonna have to get up early tomorrow, so need to be ready for that. All right. Okay. Yeah, we've covered pretty much all this stuff. I talked about the Erd Tree and the Heretical Rise, which I... Oh god, where would I talk about Heretical? Oh, you know, I'd probably talk about that in Shattering with Morgott. Like some of the... Of course it's an Arteria leaf. Actually, 3 Arteria leaves actually is lore relevant here because they're trying to go back to the mountaintop, and the mountain summit is where all the Arteria leaves are growing. So that's actually very lore relevant. What a shocker. Well, are you telling me the one guy who actually knew sorceries died? Yeah. Like we have the stuff with the cave and things mostly covered. I guess something with the tarnished NPCs I haven't really thought of, so like the Everjails and stuff. But like I guess I could think through that stuff a bit more. Let's go here just so I can say I have it. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. So consecrated snowfield's the only thing missing over here. That's fine. Minor, Capital Rampart, those who live in death for a lot of the stuff in Soul still. Yeah, like I don't think there's too many. I guess there's the demi-humans getting attacked by the bats. I don't know when I would talk about demi-humans or where. Like, that'd be a weird topic. Death stuff with those who live in death and Godwin. Oh, yeah. You know, it's kind of crazy because I finished the last shelf, by the way, and I'm very happy with it. Like, my office space looks wonderful now. I have all the stuff to store, all my manga and things for research purposes. But, like, I'm like, gosh, man. That thing is so big. It was such a pain to try to lift that thing up and try to get it on top of the other shelf I made before. It's like, oh, God. I thought it was like, I'd be like, I'm fine. I was able to handle the 3-parter, right? But no, those four compartments, just you add that 4th one, it just completely changes the game. You only just now took out your Christmas decorations, Nick? Like, wouldn't you usually want to do that, you know, before December? I guess some people want to just celebrate. I guess the last few weeks, I suppose. I don't know. I'm used to seeing Christmas decorations go up in, like, you know, October now, because for some reason everyone wants to start selling those things so early. But, like, I feel like December, like, you know, you want the month to really feel Christmassy, personally. What's the meaning of the title? What, you mean skin to skin to skin skin? I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You gotta skin skin to skin skin. That's what the Godskins have taught me. It's like Monster Hunter. It's an endless loop. You skin the hide of monsters so you can create new equipment, so that way you can go skin the hide of more monsters. Godskins are Monster Hunter players. Who knew? Yeah, we've got this stuff with the Omen covered when that post goes up. By the way, no post the next few days. I'm very sad to say, but when I get back, we'll be working on... I should be back by Saturday. So, hopefully... Again, I don't know if I'll stream that day. I might be too late and tired for me to do it. It just depends on how everything goes. But once I'm back and stuff, we'll definitely get to... Hopefully, while I'm gone, I'll be able to focus on getting at least some stuff on Bloodstains drafted out. I'll be away from my PC, but I have my hands. But I'm hopeful that at the bare minimum... There we go. I'm hopeful at the bare minimum when I get back, I'll be able to get to posting God Hunts. And then we'll have Omen Incident, and then the last question is, like, what am I going to do with Dupre Perfumers? Do I include the stuff on the idea of any connection potentially between the Perfumers and the Nox, or do I sit out, try to look for more evidence of that, or try to look for a possible way to rule that out and come up with an alternative? I don't know. I mean, I guess it's fine. My stuff on I've already stated that my stuff on Elden Ring is the one that's most variable and prone to evolving over time as I slowly build up my repertoire of knowledge. So I do think that I could maybe kind of get away with saying, like, you know what, it's fine, but, you know, in the future I might change it depending on what we learn or what we find out, or, you know, if I just feel like the evidence isn't convincing. Yeah, nothing else here. Yeah, so that's all covered. Yeah, let's do this. Yay! All right, we do this. Oh no, down here. All right, that covers Gelmir. Lol, never did Shifra. Which is funny because I'm down here. Shifra's a corpse, right? Like, I'm pretty sure the corpse is somewhere around here. Also, I have to double check the item descriptions. I can't remember if it says all the Mudmen are priests or if it's just going to be the ones with the incantations, potentially. Crab eggs, what a shocker. Okay, move over here. There we go. Like, I remember it being somewhere around here. Yeah, okay. All right. God, I'm tired. Woo! More gold pickled foulfoot. Yeah, is there anything here that we haven't really identified yet? Uh-huh. Let's see. Uh-huh. Oh, maybe I should start thinking about Ancient Dynasty stuff too. Like, I need to start working on Ancient Dynasty, Ancestral Followers, obviously stuff with the stone coffins and things in relation. Might be a good idea to start covering Deathbirds as well, that general background of history. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, nothing really. There's really nothing to add here. Because technically there is the guy up here. I guess. One's a bit less so. Unless it's for the Dragonkin soldier, at which point I would question why a Dragonkin soldier coming down the riverway would matter. Like that one would definitely seem like an odd choice to me. Runes, so many runes. No one else does that. Okay, so that's something to think about, is like, what do I do with the ancestral followers? I haven't really thought about that. Granted, I do recall ancestral followers also doing the stomp thing at the Erdtree Avatar and stuff. So it might be a fair idea. Yeah, it might be a fair idea if I actually kind of like sit and think about like all the stuff we got on them and their lore. Yeah, cookbook. I remember that. This is the shield, right? Arteria leaf. Shield's here. Huh. Interesting choice. You'd think that the shield would be considered the more important item, but I guess not. It's those goddamn Arteria leaves. All right. Well, I tried. Oh, I never used it. I thought I used the grace points. I did not. I'm being a dum-dum. There we go. Not making the same mistake this time. Old fangs. Uh-huh. Let's see. Moog I'm not going to worry about for a while, so I don't think I need to be concerned about dwelling arrows. That makes sense. Dappled cured me. That's the stuff that does everything, right? Focus is for madness and sleep, right? I'm trying to think if there's anything sleep. Because I could be like, okay, poison. Bleed, maybe, because of the Mogwin stuff, I can imagine. Is it also possible this is just because of the materials here would warrant it? Because you have poison. Like I said, I can only think of really bleed. But there's no sleep or anything here, right? So it'd have to be madness, but there's not really anything madness related here. All right. Okay, I think Shifra's done here. Now, we have gone through Ainsel so many times. I think we're pretty much... I think we're pretty much, like, cleared out in terms of what I can gather from Ainsel. Like, really, I just have to cover the ruins themselves at this point. There's the insane merchant here. Oh, you're right. You're right, Xavier. There is the merchant. The merchant does have frenzy, so you can justify it there. Now, I don't know if they necessarily would know that. But yeah, that's another example where we've got bleed, frenzy, and yeah, I don't think anything actually uses bleed in terms of, like, you know, that area, but Mogwin's nearby, so fair enough. Bleed, frenzy, and the other one will be poison, which we get from, like, the Mirandas and stuff. Now, maybe there is an enemy that does bleed that I don't recall. I don't think so. I don't think the octopuses do it. Yeah, there's not much in ways of architecture here for us to work with. These are just gravestone type things. I find these shows fascinating because I don't think they're used that often. They're definitely not Noxian style, but they kind of remind me of the stuff you see on Nox reliefs. Some burial urns here. There we go. And this just leads to... Yeah, this one just leads to the Dragonkin Soldier. Uh-huh. Yeah, so that's pretty much covered then. We'll go backwards from here. Because there's the side path with the ants, but I'm pretty sure that just takes us to... Yeah, up to there, right? There's like a hole or something I think we jumped down. I don't recall anymore. Yeah, definitely different. Nothing like what we got. Shatter Shard's an interesting choice. I'm not sure that's because of local materials or if there was... I guess the idea would be just to distract. And then we have all this over here. With Ray Lucaria. We have the mausoleums. Yeah, the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm like, man, we've covered a lot over the what has it been, 2 years, 3 years? I don't know how long I've been writing for Elden Ring, but we've covered a good portion of it, and like a lot of it's been thought through too. So while there is definitely stuff I could probably, you know, have, you know, posted at some point, you know, that'd be ideal. I do feel like I've got like a lot of at least like the raw data down pat. I'm not thinking of like many like little vignettes that I'm missing here. Um, yeah, is there anything in Caelid I can think of that I might have not thought of? I guess we can look through Celia and see. I, for one, am not convinced. I feel like I think there's nothing to surprise me about Celia anymore. I just don't think there's anything surprising. Uh-huh. Yeah, this stuff collapsed. We mentioned that, though. That's Melania with how they've taken over stuff. We have the rock cult over by the Sage's Ruin. A lot of this stuff otherwise it would be covered in astrologers. Again, I'm not going to count any like the specific NPC stories. Actually, that one, what's her name? Millicent's story? That might end up fitting in Melania, because I feel like Melania's would be otherwise pretty short, just because most of Melania's story is just like her doing things on Mikla's behalf. So I feel like Mikla would be the larger analysis of the two. I think there's just a lot more to go over in terms of what Mikla's feeling and stuff. Whereas with Melania, it's like, you know, she's just doing whatever bro tells her. Whatever Big Brother says, Big Brother, Big Brother. Oh, Agile Lake North. Might want to mention the... Well, I think I did with Kited and stuff like that. First step. There's just the Lord down here, right? Yep. Uh-huh. All right. We have crabs, right? Prawn start in here. This is Melania. Again, there's the Vulgar Militia. I guess I could think about them too. But I still don't really have anything on like where they came from, why they exist, what they're doing, how come they're the way they are. Like none of that stuff I've thought about. But then again, they're so like unimportant. I feel like they're kind of like tarnished where I want to put them at like bottom priority. Like I feel like there's so much other stuff I'd rather be focused on that. If so, then yeah, I feel like I might have almost every vignette. Like I said, I'm thinking about doing updates and stuff where I might split up Godric and Godefroy. I'm feeling like that might happen, so I'll have to look into that when I get back. But yeah, it's feeling like more and more like I've collected the data. It's now just a matter of figuring out what I'm going to do with it. Oh, ask you about a question. Sorry, Nick. I probably got distracted by your Christmas decoration thing. Let me see. What is it? Oh, I don't see a question there. But if you got stuff hissing, I don't deal with that. Is the question, was the question about asking me how we were doing, Nick? Because if so, like I said, I'm doing fine. I'm just gonna be gone for a few days. Like, there's nothing more really to say beyond that. Otherwise, I don't know what your question you're asking about is. So I'm sorry. I'm a little lost here. I don't want to do this though. Oh, okay. There we go. Oh, it's just wolves. It's just a wolf. Lone wolf down here. Oh, I'm sorry, Nick. There is a question. I was on the wrong chat. Top chat is something different. Do you subscribe to the theory that the followers are new age retro return to nature hippies or the real denizens of the lost civilization? Oh. Okay, so my thoughts, and you can decide which box that fits it in. My thoughts are the ancestral followers are, in fact, the people from the ancient dynasty, but they're also those who have basically, after the collapse of the ancient dynasties, basically determined that civilization was a mistake, and so have done a return to nature type thing. Yeah, I saw it, Nick. Yeah, the problem is that top chat, I had it on top chat. Usually I switch it to live chat, but usually it just doesn't matter. Usually it just shows everything anyway, but this time it did not. And I didn't change it, so... Well. Alright, let's... Okay, so I see it now. But yeah, so for ancestral followers, the simple question is... I think that, yes, they are the original people of the ancient dynasties. I don't think they're unconnected. I would argue they are the descendants of the survivors of the ancient dynasties at minimum. Maybe some of them are, like, you know, some of the leftovers. Again, depends on, like, you know, lifespans and stuff like that, and Blades Between and the different factions and things like that, and magic powers and all that. Anyway, but I don't think it's wrong to say, though, that they've basically determined that they want to kind of, you know, what's the word? They want to kind of, like, purify, I think, the ancient dynasties by essentially, like, kind of divorcing themselves from all the stuff they feel corrupted it, which would be civilization. So that's where I stand in terms of all that. Study hall. We got that. I think we've got with Lyrian Civil War, like, most of the vignettes out here, right? Like, there may be one or two I'm forgetting, but they're not really that important. I don't think there's anything really interesting going on with the bell ringers yet, though at some point I'm also gonna have to address them because they exist. They're a thing. Yeah, I think we're very close to just being tapped out at this point, chat. Like, I've either covered everything or I've seen it and I've documented it in my brain, so I know exactly where I want to fit it. So there isn't that much left where it's like, oh, I still gotta kind of, like, really parse what this is telling us. So bless me. If it's just a matter of I need to get the data on, like, specific items and things and work my way through that side of the equation to try to, like, really get down to the specifics on some stuff, I think that we're in a very good spot. Like, yeah, I would talk about this merchant thing and the sheep herder and fire giants. Obviously, this would be fire giants. Celia, a lot of it would be astrologers. Farum Azula here. Farum Azula is also a topic I should be, like... Okay, so I've thought about, okay, but, like, maybe it's, I'm getting to the point where I need to do Deathbirds. I think maybe I want to do Farum Azula first. At least in the vaguest possible terms, I'd want to cover Farum Azula. because I don't know how detailed I could get. Because, you know, Farum Azula will tie into Nox. It will tie into stuff with Celia indirectly and things like that with the dragon. Like, it'll tie into Bale and things like that. There's a lot of stuff to consider when it comes to Farum Azula. Yeah, there's just a question of now timeline and stuff. Like, can I narrow down the timeline on certain events? Because, like, when are the events with the Nox going on versus Bale? Like, if the Nox events are, like, ancient and stuff, Bale would have to be more... Bale would, at the very least, have to be... Because the Farum colonies obviously exist as a result of Bale stuff. Like, they're a direct consequence. In that case, the events with Bale have to post-date the fire giants moving to the mountaintops and things like that, which again makes sense because you essentially have the dragons getting disrespected and push off their mountain so fire giants can live there at essentially Farum Azula's behest, which would contribute to the stuff that would make Bale want to be, you know, a little pissy. Feels like a missed opportunity. We don't get to interact with someone who speaks on behalf of them, but then again, how much is there to say? I mean, I think the problem is that you have a character who, if they say too much, then that would spoil the mystery and intrigue of the ancient dynasties, right? Like, you can say the same thing with an ancient civ. Oh, we missed the opportunity to meet someone from the ancient civ, right? Or, you know, like, what do we get for the Hornsent? Like, we don't, like, get anything that really is, like, very informative about the past of the Hornsent. We get a grandma who's basically just like a priestess who's like, I'm so mad about America, my gods will have revenge, right? Like, I think in general, like, we're not going to get, like, a lot of characters who are going to be, you know, the tell-all. Well, that was a waste. I should have teleported first. So, like, generally speaking, I feel like I've got, like, a lot of the stuff I wanted covered, and now it's just a matter of writing down, putting the data together, which is a good position to be in, just generally. Let me go to first step here, and then we can end this. It's just a matter of, you know, I can only write so much, and I do want to focus on Bloodborne more than anything, so that's gonna slow things down, especially. But yeah, while I'm gone, I'm going to be hoping you guys will, you know, go through my DS2 stuff, give me feedback on anything I could be missing and things like that. Because I definitely want to make sure that, like, I'm well and truly, like, there's nothing I missed, nothing I need correction still. Like, I still need a few things I need to update with DS2. Like, there's the Angel stuff I have to include and factor in and stuff like that. I'll have to update my stuff on, what's it called? The Big Fix. Because there is a data point that isn't really true. I agree, environmental storytelling also speaks for itself. I feel like a direct mouthpiece kind of detracts from that. Yeah, again, it just depends. It depends. Like, if I come at the other end of my Ancient Dynasty stuff and I'm like, oh, there's a lot of cool stuff here, but it's a bit too subtle, I would have preferred that we had, you know, something or some character who was investigating or whatever to bring more of it, even indirectly, just give it more of a highlight. Yeah, I could feel that way. But generally speaking, I've always felt that, you know, whatever we get is what we get. I don't really have a bias where I'm like, oh no, we should have had someone do this, or we should have had someone who would talk about that, or what have you. I am generally of the opinion that... Yeah, I just want to make sure Agheel didn't show up. I'm generally of the opinion that none of that stuff is really important. What's most important is just, like, you know, what do we actually have, and what can you extrapolate from that? And does it tell a complete enough story that's necessary for the sake of the larger narrative and stuff like that, right? Which with something like Ancient Dynasty, I think is a pretty low bar. Like, you just need to really, like, kind of reverse engineer, I think, some of the basics. Like, for example, did the Ancient Dynasties have anything to do with the Elden Ring or whatever? One theory I've had floating around in my head is that it could be the idea that the Ancient Dynasties and the Ancient Civ, the reason why they're contemporaries is because they were established by essentially two interrelated groups. Namely, Ancient Civ was established and ruled by the God Queen, and then the Ancient Dynasties would have been ruled by the Elden Lord, which is why we have statues for a woman on the Ancient Civ side with Rao and stuff like that, but statues of a man in the Ancient Dynasties on the other end. I feel like those two things together kind of tell me that, like, oh, these these two civilizations may have been the result of kind of like, you know, a god and her Elden Lord going their like separate ways in order to like maybe investigate maybe something jointly, but through with two different groups, and they basically evolved into two separate civilizations effectively, right? Because they were so estranged from each other, but they still were obviously connected like through here, Mogwin, and like we see with the Wailing Dunes. So like stuff like that has definitely come to my mind before. So what I'm thinking. No, yeah, this is all. I can all consider this part of one group. I'm not gonna adjust that here now. Anyway, so what I'm thinking is that that's something maybe I want to look into and expand upon if I can think of anything more detailed than that. Like, does that hit a dead end, or is that a good idea? Now, again, this is very hard because, like, okay, what's the circumstances with Farum Azula? What's the circumstances with yada yada, right? Like, there's a lot of circumstances we have to consider, because we also seem to have the Ancient Civ existing alongside the Fire Giants. So Ancient Civ and Ancient Dynasty seem to also come after the Fire Giants. But the Ancient Dynasty probably comes over after the Nox as well. So you got the Nox happening between the events with the Fire Giants and with or at least I should say potentially between the events of the Fire Giants and the Dynasties. I'm not sure if there's anything we can say firmly restricts the timeline there on when exactly the Giants migrate and when the Nox betrayed. There's also the question of are any of these events related to why Placky's god disappeared, or is it something completely separate in that regard? Like, there's just a lot of questions there, so I need to sort through my feelings on all of those. It's just also one of those things where I'm kind of like, oh, because the Elden Ring movie's coming, and depending on what the Elden Ring movie's gonna cover, I may want to not cover some topics, because I'm like, well, what's it gonna matter? Because even if it's only in minor ways, something could be changing with the analysis anyway. So why not just write it all when we have all the data and stuff like that? So I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, waste my time, as it were. Right? I mean, that happened with Erdtree's beginning and stuff like that. Like, if I knew in advance, like, oh yeah, we're gonna get Marika's backstory, it's not gonna just be Mikla, we're also gonna get a lot of Marika backstory in there, I would have, I don't know if I'd say I would have put off Erdtree's beginning, right? But I definitely would have been made sure to be like, okay, stuff related to Marika and things we will not touch. Marika, the Erdtree, all that stuff. I would have just focused on the farm colonies from the start, and then the Erdtree thing could have been like a separate thing I would have been able to have to come up with later. But anyway, you know, that's hindsight, you know. That's hindsight. All right, I think I'm done. I'm done here. I'm tired. I gotta go catch my my flight. So, gotta make sure that I wake up early. So, talk to y'all later, guys. See you in a few days. Bye bye.